Hi, welcome to Light Guided. Lisa here. I'm so happy to be back with all of you. I hope these messages are finding you each well in this time. I'm recording this message at the end of April for the month of May, and they're telling me it's actually May, June, July for many of you, and they're also letting me know that for some of you, the messages that are going to come forward are things that you've already been going through. So it would be February, March, April for some of you as well. So the messages will resonate in different ways. So just know that. And I do want to share, before I actually start pulling cards, I want to share I've been getting some really interesting downloads from Spirit. And I haven't been quite sure if I wanted to share them on this channel. They're a little bit more esoteric than the messages that I've been sharing in the past. But I think they're kind of important, and I get for some of you this is going to make sense. So for those of you that relate to the energy of Pleiadians energy, the message there is around the evolution of energy, the evolution of this transformational energy that we find ourselves in. And what Spirit wants you to know about that, for those of you that this piece resonates for, they want you to know that part of what you're doing in your healing journey on this planet at this time is creating a portal, an opening for the new soul energy to come into existence on this plane. So there is a new energetic soul tribe, and it's interesting the way they show this to me. They give me the impression of rainbow energy, which is interesting. It's like all the colors combined. This is a group of souls that really have a higher vibration at the time that they enter this realm. They're already at a high vibration, and these individuals are they're bringing in an energy of unity. They're bringing in an energy of, they want to say like peacekeepers, peacemakers, but it's different than the kind of peacemakers than we might be accustomed to in our own history on this planet. They are bringing in a whole new voice, a whole new way of thinking and being. And they are showing me that these individual souls that are coming to the planet now are they're generally either being born over the next couple of years. They're saying 5 to 10 years, which is kind of interesting. I don't know the window here, if there's like a general window of time, but they're telling me that some of these souls are already coming onto the planet, and they're in the age range of 1 to 3 on average. So if you have connectivity with children that are between the ages of 1 and 3, it's very possible that many of them are of this Pleiadian star system energy, but this evolved energy, this next level. So I do appreciate that that's kind of an esoteric message. It's not going to resonate for everybody, but for those of you that it does resonate for, Spirit wants you to know that that's part of what you're being called to do in your own healing work. To raise your vibration is to actually open this portal for these new souls to come into being. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else here that they'd like you to know. For the general collective, that are viewing this video, Spirit would like me to share with you that they recognize the healing that you have been doing and the growth that you've been making. And they're showing me, the way they used to show me this energy for this group was that there were quite a number of you that were, past this threshold of transformation. You'd already stepped into your transformative energy and you were moving along that path with good rhythm, right? And then another group of you, it was like divided down the middle. And another group of you were just barely stepping into that transformational energy. And beginning the journey on that discovery, that self-awareness, that rise in your consciousness. And now the way they're showing me the energy is it's more like most of you in this group are now kind of in the middle where you've already stepped into your transformational energy. You are moving through a ton of stuff this year, tons of healing in the last year. And so they're just giving me that impression that energetically you're beginning to match one another much more closely. They are showing me there's a couple of people here that have, risen, that are of much higher vibration. And there's just a couple of people that are still feeling really, really stuck. And, okay, for the people that are feeling really, really stuck, moving through this transformational energy, wow, there's a lot of blockage. The reason that you're feeling stuck is because there's, at a soul level, you recognize you're being called into something higher, but your body and your mind hasn't caught up yet. So your soul is kind of pulling you forward, but you're just not quite there. So you may be experiencing some tumultuous things, changes in your environment, changes in your health, changes in your relationships. Things feeling a little out of control, things happening that just, one might consider negative, right? As you look at that, you might consider it a negative thing, major changes and shifts. So there are still a few of you going through that level of energy. For those of you, and again, this is very specific because it's only a couple of you that will connect with this video, where your energy vibration is raising very, very high. Spirit has a message for you as well. And they want to know that they're encouraging this, this growth and transformation. But the message here for you is that even though we want to raise our vibration, raise our consciousness, it's really important at this time in our evolution and in our transformation that we remain grounded, that we remain very much part of the human experience. In other words, we don't want to energetically move so far out of this dimension that we are unable to make an impact in this dimension. And they're telling me I don't have that message quite right, but I'm pretty close. So take it as it resonates. And then for those of you that are mostly in the middle, which is most of this group, really having done a lot of healing work in the last year, a lot of transformational work, you're moving along your path with some pretty good traction at this point toward your rise in frequency and your shift in consciousness. They want you to know in a very general way that where you are finding blocks at this stage of your journey, to consider, using tools around energy work. These are things that you can even learn yourself, learning tools around how to clear your energy, clear your blocks, clear old pictures out of your energetic field so that you are able to continue to move forward. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. They just gave me the impression of an orange tabby cat. If you have an orange tabby cat, there may be something in this message for you. That's funny. They're really giving me this very strong impression of this cat. I can hear it purring, being very loving. If you don't have an orange tabby cat, I think this message is also representing a sense of really being kind and gentle to yourself, loving yourself, allowing yourself to be in your strength, in terms of being in your strength, being secure with where you are in your journey and embracing that. And being gentle with yourself in that process and loving to yourself in that process. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started. And I do want to take a moment here just to bring in some grounding energy and bring in my spirit guides and your spirit guides and also my healing masters to create a safe and sacred space here as we dive into this reading. And they are showing me they are offering some balancing energy and some grounding energy to many of you. So if you are receptive to that, you will receive that. You will receive that grounding and balancing energy. And they're showing me the balancing energy for most of you is primarily in this order. It's solar plexus chakra, sacral chakra, and root chakra. There's a need to kind of clear and balance those particular areas for many of you. Okay, so they are just moving that energy out and just clearing that energy and bringing lots of love and support to each of you. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started. So I want to pull some cards looking at kind of the big areas for you all. You know, what areas need the most attention right now? So these popped out. I just wanted to take a look at them. We have broken open, close encounters, and a tall tale. I'm just going to place these over to the side, and let's see if they become incorporated into the energy of the reading. Wow. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful energy. So shining through, this is an energy about kind of what I was talking about a little bit, you know, self-care, but this is so much more than that. This is the recognition that wherever you are on your journey, wherever you are on your healing, growth, and frequency journey, rising in consciousness, wherever that is, Spirit wants you to embrace fully where you are, right here, right now, wherever you are in your journey, and just it's like holding it close like a loved one and just recognizing and appreciating and acknowledging all that you've been through and really, truly loving yourself in this way that you can. So they're giving me multiple messages here, but it's kind of like no matter where you are on the journey, shine the brightest that you can. Right here, right now. Shine the brightest that you can. And they're also giving me this impression of like this kind of breaking open. Actually, that's one of the energies here, breaking open. As you embrace, as you appreciate, as you love yourself and your journey, and you just allow the presence of that to be, your vibration automatically rises. Your vibration automatically opens up. And they're giving me this impression of, as this energy opens up, and they're clearing that sacral chakra right now for some of you, as this energy opens up, not only do you begin to see your life and your experience from a new perspective, a more positive perspective, but suddenly you start to attract things much more quickly. There's a sense here of almost that exact moment that you begin to open. And by opening, I mean, you know, really being grounded in where you are and loving yourself right where you are. It's like that opening, it's like instantaneously your needs start to get met. You know, if you're, wow, they're showing me lots and lots of things here. So for some of you, it's going to be around, for some of you, it's going to be around financial security or abundance. For others of you, it's going to be around relationships. For others of you, it's going to be wish fulfillment. Taking a trip, wanting to travel. And as you settle into this energy and really hold and embrace this energy, these opportunities begin to pop up and open up. For others of you, they're showing me very specifically that as you open up, it's like your spirit guides have now a two-way communication with you. So where in the past, maybe you haven't quite felt connected to your spirit guides or the energy of spirit, this particular opening allows that voice to be heard, allows that energy to come forward. For some of you, they're giving me this impression around astral travel. I don't know a lot about that. It's something that if you're familiar with it, you probably know more about it than I do. I would say if you don't know about it, but it resonates in some way, look it up. But there's something here around almost like being called back to your soul's origins. So as you're moving into that energy, and they're showing me like in a dream, this is like in the dreamscape, in the dream landscape. So for the, during sleep time, it's like your soul is connecting back with your spiritual and ancestral roots at the soul level. They're giving me the impression that this is part of your growth and healing, that there's information you're getting from that that's very important to your growth and healing. For others of you in that same message, there's a sense of connecting with what they call the Akashic Records, which is that plane of energy where basically all knowledge exists, right? Some people access the Akashic Records and they don't call it that. It's just being psychic or intuitive or whatever. But there are people who very specifically work with something called the Akashic Records, and there are tools and techniques to accessing that. For some of you, you're being called into learning those tools to access the Akashic Records for your own growth and healing, and also for how you will impact and share that growth and healing with others. Wish fulfillment is definitely part of this energy. Again, for many of you, there's kind of these synchronicities that are going to start happening, and your only job in all of that is to be open and available, right? To be open and available to those synchronicities. You don't have to seek anything out. You don't have to strive to achieve anything in particular. This energy, this abundance, these gifts of the universe are already available to you. They're right here. And all that you need to do, right, is be in a receptive energy. For a couple of you, they're giving me the impression of like the rising star. Some of you may be getting promotions. You may be, they're also giving me something here around travel. Traveling to a destination that you've always wanted to go to. And there's something very like, it makes you feel like a queen or a king, right? You feel like royalty. But rising star is a piece here. For some of you, again, promotions in work. It may be a pay raise or some kind of recognition. There's some kind of recognition here of efforts that you've put in. And I get this strong impression that it's almost like you've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this recognition, and it finally comes. And it feels really nurturing, right? For most of you, it's like, oh, thank goodness, this recognition has finally come. It's taken forever. You had all but given up on this. For a couple of you, that's also, wow, this recognition is coming, but it's a little too late. And so you may be moving on from situations, work situations, romantic situations. And actually that leads me into the next piece, which is for some of you, this is also about the romantic relationships, friendships, partnerships, where it's like just too little too late. And I see some of you kind of turning your back and walking away. And this is very much part of your spiritual development and your opening during this period of time, because as you close the door on something that doesn't work for you, as you end the things that no longer support you in a positive way, you then become available to receive the things that do support you in a positive way. So, one example would be if you're walking away from a job where, yes, you got recognition, but it was too little too late. You may end up looking for another job where you receive that recognition of your talent and experience and expertise, and you're paid well, you're recognized for all that you do. I don't know who this message is for, but they're just talking about emotions running deep. Give me just a moment to tune in a little bit more to this. Let me see if I can get anything more specific. This energy to me feels a little bit like there's a couple different layers here. It feels to me a little bit like, for example, maybe you've experienced a loss or a change that has, normally it feels kind of hurtful, it feels wounding, there's a grief energy around this, and you haven't been showing people this energy. It's just been kind of running under the surface, but it's present, it's there, you're aware of it. But you're not really expressing this to people, outwardly. And what they're giving me the impression of around that is there's something in that emotional energy for you that becomes kind of a motivator. It becomes a motivation toward, again, finding this higher good for yourself. It does feel like for some of you, this kind of energy of loss, self-doubt, a fear of unworthiness, there's that quality of energy to it. Again, emotions run deep. So they are giving me, again, that strong impression that, these emotions that you have, tap into that, let that be, even if there's pain there, that those emotions can actually serve you moving forward as a strength, that you are serving as a strength to motivate you forward. Okay, so lots and lots of energy there. Beautiful. We also have opening to discovery. Wow, kind of a interesting, a little bit of a similar message, but in a little bit of a different way. This particular energy is really talking about that inward, there's like a intuitive inward experience, and they're telling me again, emotions run deep, emotions run deep. So for some of you, this is about that deep inward exploration. And they are saying, for those of you that this piece resonates for around the emotions run deep, they don't want you to run from your feelings. They don't want you to not look at the emotions that are there. They want you to really get in there and recognize what the feelings are. Give a name to the feelings that you're having. Put a name on it. Because when you're able to put a name on it, it kind of opens up a pathway of insight for you and discovery for you that you're not quite tapping into yet. So they're just giving me that impression, like sit with yourself and just go inward and try to put a name on what these emotions are, because there's a key in that for you. And I think that came up in this first energy as well. There's a key in these emotions for you that are going to help change some decisions that you have. It's going to help change the path that you're on in terms of these decisions and open you up for new possibility. Ooh, and then we have the energy of exposed and revealed. Couple different pieces here. This is, for some of you, this energy is about feeling exposed and revealed, feeling vulnerable right now, feeling raw. And what they're telling me is that for those of you that this resonates for, they're telling me that this is very much part of, recognize that this feeling of vulnerability and exposure is because you are going through a transformation. You are growing and healing at very fast rates. And that's actually another thing here. During this time, we're not always consciously aware of how quickly things are evolving within us at a soul level, energetically speaking. Energy is, you've probably heard me say this before, spirit and energy and time and space, it's happening all at the same time in the spiritual realm. And within our human body, we're very linear, right? We're confined by space and time in the way that we are confined by space and time. And so we're not always aware the changes that are happening at the soul, spiritual, or energetic level. Okay. So if you happen to be feeling really vulnerable right now and really exposed and really raw, just be with it and just know that you are coming through. And part of what they're telling me is that for many of you, there's a download of information that is, and we talk about this, often, like these downloads that happen that begin to shift your DNA, that begin to, raise your vibration in ways that we as humans can't even be put words on. It's hard to even explain what that means for me anyway. There may be others that have words for that. I do not. But there's a kind of shift that happens here in this realm. The best I can say is it's a raising in frequency, a raising in vibration. And it causes us to feel that incredible vulnerability. But they're saying that vulnerability is also about opening your intuition and your psychic abilities, your ability to see things as they are, see past the illusions of the conditions that we're surrounded by as human beings. And they do have another message here around that. For those of you that relate with, hold on one moment, please. So they want to talk about the planet. They want to talk about the planet Earth. Let's see. Let's use this deck. Let's see what messages they have about the planet. So there's some of you in this that'll be listening to this video that are very connected to Mother Earth, and they have a specific message for you. They're kind of, hold on one second. Lots of messages. Yeah, I'll share the cards here with you, but let me tell you a little bit about what they're downloading to me. So for those of you that have a connection with the planet Earth, and I don't know why they're focusing on this specifically, except to say that your role in raising the vibration of the planet is important, and they want you to understand something about this. So when it's not uncommon for most of us humans, right? It's not uncommon for most of us to look at a situation, an environmental, something happening with the water, something happening with the air, something happening with, any number of things that affects the environment. It's not uncommon for us to feel like we have a mission to heal the planet, to bring justice to the earth, to make sure that Mother Earth is protected and cared for. Okay, so that's one part of this. This is the part they want you to know and understand. Often as humans, when we come into seeing a vibration or a scenario, we look at that situation and we think there's no justice there, or that's unjust, and we become angry and frustrated, and we are triggered, right? Our own wounding around injustice, around unfairness, around feeling out of control. Our own wounding triggers our desire and our motivation to bring healing. Why this is important is because what Spirit wants you to understand is that this is a time to begin to change the narrative. When we bring our own feeling of injustice to a situation that we believe is unjust, we continue to feed the energy of injustice. When we are able to heal within ourselves all of the ways that we feel the world or people or whatever it is has been unjust to us, when we're able to heal those parts of ourselves and we are able to tap into the spiritual recognition that everything that we are observing is just a condition and not the reality, when we are able to move into that place, we come into a new vibration, a new energy, and a new way of relating. And that energy of confidence, that energy of peace, that energy of love, compassion, ease, connection with the earth, that feeling of truly being at one with. When we do our healing work, we are able to step into situations that as conditions look unjust and unfair, and we're able to bring a vibration of love and peace and equanimity. That's the message they want you to know and understand, that this is a time for the healing work that you're doing is about coming into the world and facing these conditions, not with our woundedness, not with our pain, not with our feeling of, having been victimized or that there's something unjust in the world, but coming into these situations and conditions with the energy of spirit, with the eyes of spirit, the love of spirit. Through that embodiment, through the embodiment of that love, that embodiment of peace, we change the condition. The condition is changed. The condition is changed. That's a rather complicated message, but that's what they wanted me to communicate with you. So please take what resonates and leave the rest behind. These were the cards that came out when I asked about what more they wanted us to know about the Mother Earth and our relationship to it. We have Grand Symphony, in perfect harmony, and a burst of magic. And this to me just feels like, again, it's an affirmation from spirit to me that even if we can't see the spiritual harmony, the spiritual magic, and the beautiful way that everything works together, even if we can't see or perceive that as in our human form, part of what we're learning to understand is that behind the condition that we perceive is this beauty, is this harmony, is this perfect peace and this perfect dance that's happening in the realm of spirit. And so I feel like part of our healing work is around learning to come into recognition of that spiritual perfection, the spiritual perfection that's here. All right, dears, let's see what final messages Spirit has for you. Let's look at anything that needs to be healed. Anything that needs to be healed for this collective at this time during this period, please. And remember, again, for some of you, the messages coming through are things that you've been kind of dealing with over the last 3 months. And for others of you, you're just kind of stepping into this awareness, May, June, July. All right, let's see what's ready to be released and healed. Wow. Oh, wow. We have the energy of abundance. I am a limitless being and I can manifest whatever I desire in this physical reality. So for those of you that feel that sense of helplessness, or if you're feeling like you're not seeing the abundance around you, remember I was talking about that in this early card, this first energy around being in that energy of embrace, of self-acceptance, of allowing, yourself to be where you are. And as you connect in with that and you release the burdens or the energy around that belief, it's like you immediately open to the energy of abundance. Surrender, letting go of resistance. Wow. I can release my need to control. So, even for me and, for many of us, right, when we are in situations that are unfamiliar or we're feeling fearful in some way, it's like, my go-to is to try to organize things and try to organize my thoughts and organize people and organize circumstances and, try to have a little control over them. And what Spirit wants us to know in this message is that it's okay to surrender. We are safe to surrender. Spirit is never going to create a, well, I was going to say create a circumstance that's going to cause us problems, right? But that's not exactly the right language. Excuse me. Behind the condition, right? This is the message that came through before. We can surrender into the knowing that behind the condition, there is spirit, there is love, there is peace, there is abundance, there is great support for each of us on our journeys. We are ready to release indecision. I do feel like for some of you, this says, I use my intuition in all aspects of my life. I do feel like for some of you that you're kind of holding on to, how would I say? It's like you're holding on to a decision. You're trying to find your intuition. You're sort of going back and forth. For those of you familiar with tarot, this would be like the Two of Pentacles. You know, it's like you're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you're trying to decide on something. And I do feel like, you know, if you're able to, that's part of that control also, is by holding on to a decision, not making a decision, but just going back and forth on something. That's part of our control too. It's like we are trying to figure something out when, you know, maybe what will work for us better is to be in this energy of surrender and allow the answer to come to us rather than us trying to, you know, make the answer or force an outcome. And then finally, the last thing that we're ready to release and heal here. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. So for some of you, there's a need for forgiveness. And they're again showing me this message of Mother Earth, forgiving. How would I say? It's forgiveness, but it's also asking for forgiveness in a way to help us move into that energy of surrender. We can ask the Mother Earth to forgive us. We can ask Spirit to forgive us. Not well, it gets kind of convoluted because in the realm of Spirit, there you know, Spirit doesn't judge us and say, oh, you did that wrong and now you're going to pay. You know, energetically, you know, we have different energies around that, but for the most part, we can be in a space of humility and be asking for forgiveness where we feel like we've played a part in doing something harmful. And again, this image of the planet keeps coming forward. So releasing that guilt, I guess, is kind of ultimately what it boils down to, releasing that sense of guilt and allowing ourselves to feel forgiven. That's really the ultimate message for that particular card. Okay, so I'm going to pull some final guidance here for you. Final guidance, please, for this collective. And let me pull one more from a different deck. One moment. Thank you. One more. Whew. It's taken a while, but they have one more here for you. Thank you. Okay. Oh, interesting. All right, let's start with this final advice from Spirit. What am I waiting for? Someone else to do it for me? Are you waiting on someone else before you can take a big leap? What if you were to take life into your hands and forge your own unique path? Put your heart into action and ask yourself, what risk can you take to move towards your dreams? Make a decision and do it. No more waiting for others. Do it scared, take the leap. And today's soul action is no more thinking, only doing. Be brave and you will discover what you are really made of. Wild soul, strong heart, can't lose. And I feel like that's kind of this message that I was talking about. You know, if we can release ourselves from that mental back and forth, and surrender into being receptive to the messages of Spirit, we are much more able to make decisions that support us moving forward. Spirit also has this message, self-sabotage. When you learn to get out of your own way, there will be no stopping you. Most of the time, it's not others who prevent you from achieving your true goals. It's that inner voice that derails those carefully woven plans. This energy is about, taking, very similar, right? Being decisive and discerning. This is an energy of not allowing your thoughts to sabotage you. So again, kind of that surrender. Ooh, and then we have inspire passion. Life devoid of passion can be a boring, uninspired blank canvas that slowly drains the soul. Now is a time to reignite your passions and rejoin life. This is an opportunity to set new goals, which will in turn reconnect you with all that is sacred. Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much for the privilege of being able to offer this reading to you. Again, thank you also for your patience. I know it took a long time for me to post from the last time, and hopefully it won't take quite as long the next time. If you have any questions, you want to reach out to me for any reason, if you're looking for any support and would like a private reading, please feel free to check us out at lightguided.com. And otherwise, I send you much love and light, and until we meet again, take good care. Be well.